And we are live and we're knocking stuff off the table, as is always the case. Hey, everybody, it's Tacoma Comics here. And this is Wine and Comics Late at Night. And you know what I just realized? And I realized it too late. Last week, I did this at 10 p.m. And I think as long as we are COVIDing, that's what I'm calling it now. As long as we are COVIDing, we are going to go back to the 10 p.m. Tonight, we'll stick with 9 p.m. And here's the reason. I want to watch the New York Warriors auction when I can. And my schedule's so messed up. I just messed up. So Biggie's, Erod, Team Franklin Fitness, Guest Seller, Marky, Joker, Johnson, everybody that sells on there. Manny, Eli, Easy. Just my apologies for putting a show up against yours. I don't expect to get too many people in here unless you are broke or all sold out. Maybe you stopping by. And if you are, I appreciate you. I really do. I really do appreciate you being here because I like to drink wine. I like to talk about comics, but honestly, I like to do those things with other people a little bit more. So, that's what we're going to do. We are here. And like I said, next week, I'll go back to the 10 p.m. time slot and make it a little bit more friendly for people to stop by. And like I said, hopefully somebody will stop by. That would be really nice. And if they don't, that's okay. You can catch it on the rewind. So let's not go any further. Wine and Comics Late at Night, episode 2. We are drinking a rare black bend. It just says rare black bend. It's a dark red wine. And honestly, it just says silky and expressive. The back label pretty much is the same thing at the top. Silky and expressive. Rare black blend is the actual name. And last week we drank that Catania Malbec from Argentina. Really nice wine, $20 bottle of wine. This is an $8 cheapie. I'm not expecting this one to be that amazing, but I'm expecting it to be pretty good. Let me just read it to you here. Welcome to a rare wine experience. These silky, hey, Mike, you made it. Expressive dark berry, plum, and cherry flavors are enhanced by satiny tannins and a very smooth finish. Black blend is your ideal pouring partner for pasta, grilled foods, lamb, wild game, and dark chocolate desserts. My wife did a little New York strip. Wasn't grilled. Kavi is here. Cheers, Kavi. And my son made chocolate chip cookies. So there's the chocolate that we're pairing this with. I already ate that stuff, though. So let's just start off. Get a nice pour, because I'm going to go through this. I'm not going to kid myself. Cheers to everybody. I'm not getting anything distinct. Now, I am not... No, I'm not going to pretend I can. Like last week, I said, ooh, black cherry. And that was like the predominant flavor that I read about afterwards. This one, I don't get the plum. I don't get the cherry. I get a lot of tannins and acidity. So we'll see. Ooh, that's not my favorite. I'll drink it because it's wine, but it's not my favorite. Yeah, I'm not loving it so much. So let's go see what the interwebs had to say. And as we look on here, I just found this one really funny, right? So I'm just going to tell you, it's a red, a little bit of a sour. Like when I said there's that acidity, there's a little bit of sourness on the end, but this lady just cracked me up, right? Restrained nose, but well layered if pondered. I recommend plunging in head first. That's why I drank the big gulp, because I read this. This swimming hole's murky depths instill just enough fear to bring maximum fun. Float in an inner tube of overripe cherries and plums. I get the overripe cherries. Okay, I do hear that. Splash your feet at friends and floating logs just to make sure that's all they really are. This woman is obviously describing an acid trip. I have no idea what she's talking about. However, Wine Enthusiast does say it's a really good buy for its I got it for $8. They got it at 10. So good blast of black cherry. I'm not getting that. I'm just getting like red tastes, followed by rich grapey flavors on a moderately firm texture. Hint of sweetness. I got acidity or sour on the finish. I'm gonna have to try some more. Look, I am not the expert on wine. I definitely am not. And so that's what this is about. This is not me showing off my wine. This is me buying cheap wine and talking about comics. So let's get to part 2. Wine is always part 1. Oh, we don't want that up there. Let's go over there and see. See, that's showing the wrong screen now. So I want that to show a different screen. I've got an idea. We'll just do that. What we're talking about today is the Banks. The Banks, Ming Doyle, and Roxanne Gay, Jordie Bellaire, who's one of my favorite colorists, man. She's done work on that, the trees, right? She's done work on Redland. She switched to art. She was the colorist on Kate Thompson's Hawkeye, which is really great with the purples and greens. She was the colorist on Tom King's Vision. Roxanne Gay did the Warriors of Wakanda. She did a whole thing about the whole miniseries, or I guess they stopped it short, about the Dora Milaje that I really, really liked. Ming Doyle, I'm not too familiar with, so there you go. So this one is from TKO Studios, and now I am going to jump over and share the screen with the TKO Studio stuff, because I want to talk about this again. And Mike, you might want to drop this on your show to tell you the truth. J. Peterman catalog. Oh, nice one. Very nice one. I love it. Elaine, I would like you to. So we're going to jump on over here and share the screen, and we'll go to Chrome tab specifically so that I don't get knocked off here. And you're looking at that screen, and I'll make it like this. So there you go. When you come to TKO Presents, this is what their screen looks like. All these big names: Garth Ennis, Jeff Lemire, right? And they want you to revolutionize comics. The idea that they have behind their business is to make sure that you that they give you this kind of a different approach. So first of all, before Diamond got on the outs with everybody because of the shutdown, they did their own shipping. You can purchase trade paperback, you can purchase just digital, or you can purchase the individual comics 6 to a set. And that's what I did. And I got the, did I put it away? No. I got these two because at some point they were doing a 2-for-1. So last week I went over Sentient. This week I'm going over this one. I didn't mean to, this show isn't going to be only TKO. It's just happening that way. And I just got in this one, which I really want to read. Garth Ennis, Sarah. This is supposed to be really good. Written by Garth Ennis. I don't know who the artist is. Elizabeth Breitweiser, who I don't know. And Steve Epting, who I know as well. The current thing that they're doing now, which I think makes them really amazing, is if you were to purchase something from them, right now what can happen is you will get half of the price of what you spend. They will send to an LCS of your choice, which is really freaking awesome, right? So I spent, I think, $30 on these 6 comics. That's $5 a comic in a nice slipcase, and they are really premier materials. The Banks, 15 of that went straight to my LCS. So I think that's really, really cool. So I definitely think that you should try this company out. They do free first issues, which is also really amazing. So you can digitally get any issue that you want for free. First issues, not any issue, first issues. Which is really nice. So yeah, right across the top, your 50% of purchase price goes to your local comic book shop. Just a really, really amazing deal. So let's dive into it. Another sip of wine. If you guys are drinking along at home, some bourbon, some whiskey, some beer, go for it, man. Let's know what you got. So the slip cases are really nice. Black inside. I think this is upside down. Yeah, I knew I put this in upside down because I was rushing. All right, so you take that off. And so they just look really nice on your bookshelves. You don't have to bag and board these comics. I might do that eventually, but they're magazine size, which is also really cool. But for now, I'm going to keep them in a slipcase. I don't think I need to bag and board them for, unless they're around 5 or 6 years from now. And so I don't know if you can actually see this, but the quality of the books is pretty amazing. Just built like, how can I put it? They're just cardstock, nice paper, thick. You're not going to get a tick unless you really were to try to bend this. This is going to last. This is going to stay nice. They fit in the box nicely. They don't have to get squeezed in. So they're really, really good. Let's see. The slipcase is mentioned on the show, but I'll start mentioning it again. Such a great deal. Yeah, there really is. So you think about it, you're taking a little bit of a risk, but you can read the first issue for free. The wine's getting to me. You can read the first issue for free. So you're not taking that much of a chance. You are getting to know it. And then $5, I mean, comics are $3.99 or $4.99, but you're getting this format, which is really nice. Let's compare this to a regular comic size. I don't know if the Toxic Avenger is a regular comic, but it is definitely larger than your average modern comic right now. And it's just cardstock all the way through, not just a cover. The paper inside is not glossy, but it's this thick as the cover. All right, so let's get into the banks. We have a family of crime. It's a pretty familiar story, and that's okay with me, right? There's very few new stories out, so it's all in the telling and the details and the artwork and the language. So that's what you expect these days. I'm not going to go and say this is a brand new story. I mean, how many superheroes do we see where it's like, okay, we've seen this story before? So we've got this family. This is the grandmother. She looks much younger here. This is her daughter, and then this is the granddaughter. The grandmother moved to Chicago, I believe it's supposed to be. They never actually say Chicago, but you just get the impression that it's, well, they do say Lake Forest, so it is Chicago. So the family's there, and she's always been a thief since her husband introduced her to it. She's been really good and raised her daughter to do it. And when she was raised in luxury because of the money that her mom and grandma, who she calls Yaya, made. But Celia is having none of it. She's an investment banker. And, they set this up really nicely, a good amount of backstory and current stuff with dates at the top. So this is like their first job as husband and wife, that sort of thing. They set it up really nice. And then they show the grandmother getting an apartment as she moved out of the South in this like 1968. So, it does say Chicago, Illinois. There you go. So it's just really nice. And, they go back and forth. And then we realize here's kind of the turning point of the first one. She's expecting to be made partner. This is the granddaughter at her firm. And she's already there. Everybody's champagne. She's with her boyfriend, and boom, somebody else gets given partner. Is this because she's female and she's African American, or is it just business as usual? The thing is, they don't dwell on that, which is nice. They put it out there. It's, you don't need to read too deeply into it to know that, she was probably passed over for a particular reason, but nobody's going to risk their job by fighting for her and saying it outright. So instead, she's just pissed off. And she does some sleuthing and some thinking. And her firm turns out that they've got a really, really, really rich, valuable client. And she starts to look into that client a little bit more deeply. Meanwhile, we find out how her granddad went to jail for the first time. And the way the granddad went to jail for the first time is by not giving up the grandmother when he could have. So we get this idea that, yes, he's a crook, but that he's also has a code. You got to have a code. TV show, anyone? Gots to have a code. Somebody got to tell me what TV show that's from. I'm still getting that little bit of sourness in the end, maybe a bit of that sweetness, but it's not a delicate wine for sure. It does hit you pretty hard. Nobody's going to type in, guys, that was from The Wire. Omar had a code. The bunk has a code. You've got to have a code. I've lost somebody with my digressing, but that's okay. I soldier on. So we understand that he's a stand-up guy, even though he's a thief, right? He doesn't rat out people. And then we see the middle woman, the mother, being. I love this. She's wearing this nice, like, and blouse, yet she's playing with lock-picking tools. That's just awesome to me. I love that bit. And it goes on. We see the relationships build, and then we see that she's at the end of the first issue. I'm ready to join the family business, right? But of course, she's been disdainful, and there's family drama and family issues, and so family is not necessarily ready to have her back into the business. And just gorgeous, gorgeous cover here. I really like that cover, man. Just the kind of darkness, this dark green here, even his suit and dark and stuff, and then there's bright flowers coming up here. I cannot do it backwards in this thing. I just like those flowers punctuating this, and the tattoos. This is more artistic in the actual issues. Her tattoos look more like they are hard-earned tattoos. It turns out her mother is a lesbian. And so she was raised by two mothers. Not this is the middle-aged woman is a lesbian. And here we see a little bit more. He's going off to jail. This is the granddad. I know it's hard to keep it all in track. It took me like 3 issues to get him all set up, but he's going off to jail because he refuses to give up these two men right here. Am I doing it wrong? Yeah, I'm doing it wrong. These two men right here are mobsters or gangsters. He does not give them up when he's on his way to jail for a good amount of time, and that plays in later. So there's a lot of family drama, a couple pages of it, whether or not they should do this. And then there's going back, we now get introduced to Juliana Vasquez, the detective, who's the hard-nosed detective that wants to bust the South Sound thieves that have not been caught up until this point. And so we get, you get your hard-nosed detective, you've got your family drama, you've got your Mark, you've got your mobsters, you've got your stand-up thief, you've got a lot of characters that you've seen before. And so now we're going through this a little bit more, and we see after he's busted, he won't give up people to police. We see over here in a nightclub with these purples and blues, he's been coerced. Right? He's been coerced into stealing cocaine for this mobster. And it's when he is on the way back from stealing cocaine that he gets busted, but he doesn't give up the mobster. So we have this nice scene here. They're getting along. This is Celia, the youngest one, getting along with her boyfriend. They both work in the investment firm, but she's trying to get some information on this wealthy client. She figures if she can manage his money, that she'll make it at the firm. But at the same time, she's also trying to convince her family, let's go rob this motherfucker. So that's basically it. We get a little bit more backstory of the mom. The middle, they're all, two of them are moms. I'm going to say the middle one, the mom. I'll say mom, grandma, and granddaughter to keep them separated. And we find out, how she met her wife. And then we see granddad coming out of jail and all of that. So we're just getting this build up, and they do this nice job of building up the family. It never feels forced. It feels natural. Grandma has always thought that her daughter spoiled the granddaughter, and in turn, she thinks the granddaughter is a bitch. Mom is having none of it, and she keeps walking out and says, you two figure out your shit. You get it together. This YouTube video is not for people under the age of 18. That should go at the beginning. So stop watching, kids. So, it goes on in the same vein, and a lot of family melodrama, which I think might play a little bit better in like a TV show or movie, because it's a lot of it's with dialogue, and it doesn't flow quite enough for me to get that standard feeling between the two of them. But it doesn't hurt the story much either. And then the grandma and mother are scoping out the place that they're looking for. that they're going to rob of this rich guy that is working with the investment firm. And on the last page, Grandma sees, ooh, look who's getting out of the car, coming to this rich guy's house. It's a mobster. So you get the idea right then and there that, they want to take down this house that their daughter presented to them, not because it's a good score, because the insecurity is tight. These are lock and pick thieves. These are not, it would be a great show. These are not thieves who are used to modern technology, but their daughter, who went to college and learned a lot about computers and stuff, is. So they want to bring this mobster down. So now they are all in at any cost. Which brings us to issue 3, and we get more of the investment firm going on. And this guy, they draw him and play him really well. He's just a slimy rich guy. Maybe a little one-sided for a deeper story, but as far as we know, he's just a slimy rich guy who sees Celia and is like, ooh, I want her on my team. And she flirts with him a bit, but maintains her distance. And yeah, eventually he ends up asking her to his apartment, or his house, sorry. And it's kind of like, why are you doing business there? He's like, I always get what I want, and I want her there. So a little bit more of that back and forth, and then more of the family drama. And we kind of get these rhythms going out through the next few issues. There is family drama arguing, how are we going to do this score? You're too impatient. Your mom and I know how to do this really carefully so we don't get busted. And then the guy keep asking Celia over for wine, to scotch. Actually, they drink scotch to talk about like what's going on and how they can go ahead and make a better investment. And he keeps making advances to her. She keeps pushing him away, though she kind of lets him get away with a little bit of it so she can sneak into his safe room and look around and snoop. She's texting Mom, what do I do? And Mom's texting her back. So we're building up this intrigue, but we do get into this kind of rhythm that repeats itself of, how far can I go to get the information, to get this guy without pissing off my boyfriend? How far can I go, or how can I impress my mom and grandma that I'm really serious? Mom and grandma, you're too spoiled, you're not committed, you never wanted anything to do with the family business. And then the detective, of course, trying to figure out what's going on. Grandma always looks like, there were looks early on, even as far early as issue 3. She knows what's up, and she really seems to know what's up and what's going on. And especially with the detective. So she's like, don't worry about the detective. I got him under control. So you always get this kind of idea that like the detective is not going to be a problem in the end. And maybe they gave that away too much, or maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know. Wine does grow on you in the same way that cheap beer grows on you. After you drink a lot of it, you don't notice it anymore. Boyfriend is getting more and more worried. The use of the color palettes in this is really nice. You see all these light blues, almost aqua, and kind of purples, and then the browns for the city streets. And they do that. Every page is like a different color palette, which is kind of cool. And then more hand on the shoulder, push the hand off the shoulder sort of thing. It continues like that. This investment banker. And then, of course, the detective shows up at Celia's door saying, I need to talk to you about your mom and grandma. Bum, bum, bum. So I don't know if anybody's read Abbott. Abbott was about a newspaper detective, Black woman in Chicago in the 70s. And a lot of the aesthetic here reminds me of that. And I don't have too much knowledge to compare these types of things, but Abbott would be my absolute favorite comic as far as depicting that time period and that culture and making me believe it. This one is a little bit more stereotypical, a little bit more sensationalized. Abbott was very stereotypical and like the young reporter and the gruff news editor, but it just made it work. Saladin Ahmed can write the heck out of anything. But Roxanne Gay is not far behind in this. Love this cover too. I love all the covers, right? I just love that. I just love the way like grandma knows what's up. Mom is sort of aware that somebody's looking at them down the rifle. Celia is like, nope, I'm new to this. I don't know what the hell is going on. And kind of that dynamic right there, I think is very important and kind of exists throughout the comics. So again, we get these rhythms of family arguments over how to do the heist and, are you committed? And you could see stern looks by grandma right here. Um, Lots of beiges and browns on that page. And like I said, you get a lot of rhythms going on. And now we are back to she's flirting with the rich guy. Grandma's trying to crack the newfangled safes. And in a TV show, they can make that really funny. I think grandma, who's great with like a lock and pick and tools, doesn't know how to necessarily crack an actual safe. And here, boyfriend's getting really, really snoopy. And she's like, I know how to distract you. Pretty typical. So there's some typical elements here. There's definitely a lot of room here to write, to do more. We've got boyfriend going to grandparents and say, I'd love your blessing, or parents. We've got detective in the car doing detective work. So it definitely like kind of repeats like that. See, Woodard's in the house. I'll drink to that. The Warriors auction must be winding down. I got 5 people here now. Yeah. And then we get the sidekick detective who's kind of sloppy and lazy, but, trying to prove his worth. Like I said, familiar elements, definitely. But as it goes on, it gets deeper and more serious. He's pushing things further, the hand on the knee. She's wearing slinky clothes to his house for a business meeting. How far will she go? I don't know. She comes back. Boyfriend, who's just gotten blessings from mom, asks her to marry him, and she's like, no. I can't tell you why, but it's for your own good. Don't bother me. And of course, he's pissed off and he leaves. Family tells her she's stupid. But it was all a ruse. She was just there to get his fingerprints so they can get past the biometrics on the safe. Dun, dun, dun. And we are 2/3 of the way through this, except he's liquidating his $3 million in Bitcoin tonight. We have to go tonight. Dun, dun, dun. I just love this logo too. It reminds me of like a getaway car, with the curls on the N and the B being the wheels, right? And of course the S having the dollar bill. So I just love that logo. Very cool. So we are now up to issue 5, and you can tell there's going to be a break-in because they're dressed like there's going to be a break-in. And grandma gets pulled in by the detective. There's a lot of flashback, and like you kind of have to follow, like they don't show grandma getting called in by the detective. So you just see grandma there, and grandma's cool cat. She doesn't give nothing up. She's like, what is this, bad cop, stupid cop? And that sort of thing. And she's like, I'm partial to Southside grind myself. I don't want any of that crappy coffee you've got. So it's pretty good. They approach the house and they're ready to break in. As a matter of fact, they do break in, but their carefully laid plan they've been fighting about for hours and hours and hours. They use a grappling hook to get up to the 2nd floor window. Don't know if I think that is too realistic. Right down here, though, his vault is empty. He's already liquidated everything. And we don't know why. We still know he's in bed with this gangster, but we don't know specifically why. He's liquidated everything. And of course, the detectives find their empty car, so they have to call the wife to pick him up. And now they're arguing. People are like, let's drop this. And Celia's like, no, we're not going to drop this. She's going to go back to his department and convince him to put his futures in, his money in water futures, whatever that is, like Dasani or something, or Evian. And so there's a little bit more of that. Oh, he's actually at her apartment. Boyfriend comes in, and that's the last straw. He's like, I'm fed up. I knew there was something going on. And of course there wasn't, but how is she supposed to protect herself at the same time? So it ends up that if they can't get the guy, they're going to get the gangster. And so she goes to the club to see the guy, and the gangster's there with her. And the gangsters, even though he may not be as rich as this guy, he's got more influence. He's got more power. And he's like, I want her. She's mine. She's like, well, I'm not anybody's, blah, 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 blah. And she's about to take out a knife and just shank him because she wants to get back for her grandfather, who she's heard about all these years. What a great man he was. How wonderful he was, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, they leave it there on a cliffhanger. And then we get a flashback to barbecue when Granddad gets out of prison. And then we find out that Granddad got out of prison, but Granddad got killed by the mobster anyway, even though he kept his mouth shut. He lost $1 million in cocaine, so the gangster wasn't having any of it. Now we've got this this scene where Mom comes in to protect her daughter because she thinks her daughter's in over her head. She knew her daughter was up to something, didn't know what it was. Turns out daughter was about to stab the guy. So Mom makes this weird scene in the club and gets the daughter out of there. And now we're kind of ramping up the action, a little bit less flashbacks, and we're trying to, get to a conclusion. As a reader, you feel that there's a conclusion. They do one last flashback with Dad dying, and then we've got like the jig is up. This is it. But Grandma and Mom break into the apartment, and they're like, break into Celia's apartment. They're like, listen, go make up with that boyfriend of yours. And she's like, you broke into my apartment? Yeah, we broke into your apartment. We're thieves. Go make up with that boyfriend of yours. Tell him everything. Get him on your side, and let's finish this off. So they do this last thing. They steal all the money using fancy computer wizardry. And then they're happy and they kiss and everything is good. But she gets kidnapped by that gangster and taken to his house. And so she's kind of trying to play cool, but he's like, I know who you are. He pulls a knife on her. So this is just good stuff. Good stuff here. Good, fun comic. But of course, Mom and Grandma are tailing her. And who shows up but the detective, who Grandma saunters over to. And she's like, I know what you want, but there's a gangster in there holding a woman kidnapped. You go get that. You got a much bigger score. You're going to make your career on this one, that sort of thing. So there's a fight, and the fuzz breaks in, and everything is good and wonderful in the end. And then the three of them are in the family business, and they make this little statement down here at the bottom about kind of being Robin Hoods. They're stealing up to $7 million now, but it's all going to good causes, And then finally, you see that they've moved to France where nobody can track them down, and life is wonderful. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. My throat is parched. I might as well have some rare black blend. That is hard to say fast. Rare black blend. Rare blah, 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 blah. One more time. I still have that sour note. I don't get distinct flavors, man. You talk about the difference between a $10 and a $20 bottle of wine. And I couldn't tell you a lot, but I could tell you right now that I can't taste all those little notes that they say are in there the way I could taste them on that Malbec that I had last week. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be a situation where you have a specific nose or affinity for wine. And I know you can build that up over time, but I could definitely at this point, if somebody told me which of these two had the first two have had is a $20 bottle, I would have picked the one from last week over this week, and I would have been right about at least that much. So it's my young early development with a wine nose is just getting that. So everybody chased out of here pretty quick once I finished. How's everybody doing? You know what? I forgot to drop the link for people to join me. But we could do that right now. See if anybody wants to hang out. Copy the clipboard. Paste in comments. And there you go. So again, I would say this is absolutely 100% worth it as a read, worth it as a company that right now is doing their best to support local comic book shops. I can't think of many other companies out there that are doing something like this. Buy our stuff and we'll donate half of our money to a local comic book shop. I mean, who does that? You name me another company is doing that. And I'm not saying there aren't any out there. I'm saying if there are some out there, I don't know. I don't know who they are or what they are. It just seems kind of a cool thing to be doing. What's not a cool thing to be doing is drinking as much of this rare black blend as I might do tonight, because like I said, this is just, mediocre is how I would describe it. Mediocre. Tell you a story. Oh gosh, another lifetime before kids, right? Maybe 14 years ago, my wife and I were in Atlanta. I was there for a robotics competition, and she was there to visit a friend. We stayed at this hotel, and we went up to the top floor to a very fancy restaurant. It's one of the fancier restaurants we've ever eaten in. Definitely one of the most expensive meals. And they had a sommelier there who was, how can I put it? She was French, and she had in the menu. Tell me who that is, Mike. I'd really like to know. In the menu, they actually put in, sommelier, young sommelier of the year, whatever year it was. And then they're like, I guess at some age, she graduated from young sommelier to like the adult category. I don't know. And they're like runner up in 2000 this and, third place in this. My wife, who doesn't drink a lot of wine, not even as much as I do, told her what she liked. And at the time, she was just developing a taste for some wine beyond Herringer's Zinfandel, which is what she drank when I first met her. And she said the fruits she liked, the amount of sweetness she liked, and everything. And this sommelier, who was like 21 and 22 at the time, came back with Dragonfly Riesling from St. Francis Tannehill down in, I think, Oregon. Oh my God. Not only was it good, it was exactly what my wife wanted. Like, it fit perfectly with the amount, with the flavors that she said, and with the food that we were having. And I was blown away. You think wine is wine, or you think expensive wine is a little bit better than cheaper wine. This woman knew exactly what we wanted, how, and we were amazed by how good she was in terms of just pinpointing that for us. As anybody wants to jump on with me, man, jump on with me. Otherwise, I am going to go very soon. I am done with Wine and Comics Late at Night. I don't know what I was thinking, man, making this 9 o'clock. It's supposed to be 10 o'clock so that I don't interfere with the Warriors auction. The days kind of all blend together. No idea what day it is anymore. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Totally forgot about the Warriors auction, because usually, things happen in school on Tuesday. Things happen with my son's Taekwondo on Tuesday. There is a rhythm to things. And then, when I'm picking my son up from Taekwondo is when the Warriors auction starts. That's been my life for like a year and a half, right? Ever since he joined the Black Belt Club, who meets Tuesdays at 6:40 to 7:20. But now there's no rhythm. So I try to set a rhythm by making a weekly show, and I screw up the time. So next week, I will be back here making a fool of myself, drinking a wine and talking about comics. The comic that I'll be talking about next week will be the last week. I didn't do Thursday last week, did I? If I did Thursday, then I'm just, then I really screwed up. I always thought it was Tuesday. I'm not with it today, man. Anyway, I will be going over Sarah by Garth Ennis, Steve Epting, and Elizabeth Breitweiser. And let's see, this is in the second terrible winter of the Siege of Leningrad. 7 women snipers, they had me at women snipers, had themselves caught up in the struggle against the German invader. Their deadliest shot is Sarah, whose inner demons may yet prove her undoing. Oh, you didn't know what day of the week it was. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. Not a lot, but a little bit. What is it? But with the enemy to their front and the agents of the Soviet state lurking in the shadows, how long can any squad survive the terrifying maelstrom of war? Gotta love a comic. This is Maelstrom. I haven't opened this up so we can just look at just right there. That is a pretty freakishly awesome cover. Gotta love that right there. Gotta love that right there. So there you go. After that, I should be done with the first hardcover for Monstrous. I'm reading a little bit each night, but I go to bed later and later each night, and I kind of too tired to read more than maybe one chapter. I think I finally got up to where I left off in the single issues. Now I'm starting the new stuff. So I'm getting there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for joining me. I got to say one more thing. If you have not heard about and are not familiar with the great comic pop mystery box swap, please hit me up right there, Tacoma Comics on IG. The idea is I'm working with Mama J from the pop community. I'm getting 10 comic book YouTubers together. She's got 10 pop people together. We're sending questionnaires to each other to find interests. We're sending those back to me and Mama J, and then distributing it to our people with addresses. You will make a mystery box of comics, $35 to $45 in value. You will share that, or you will then send that as a mystery box to your pop person. At the same time, the pop people will be making a mystery box full of pops to send to the comics person. We're supposed to get 10 people each. Mama J had her 10 pop people like that. Either I'm not a popular social guy, or people just aren't hearing about this, or comics people are slow. I have 8. I need 2 more. If anybody is interested in the great comic pop mystery box swap, please hit me up so we can get that, because I would love to get that going with you. Okay? All right, man. That is it. Mike, I look forward to your deals of the day tomorrow. Really enjoy hitting that in the middle of the day. For me, it's actually about 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning when you put that down. A lot of fun reading that. I always check things out. Those hip comics, there's almost too much on their auction, and I'm tired of signing in to get my raffle ticket in for that Harley Quinn, but I've got 5 slots in. That's enough for me. I'm glad that you're mixing up and changing the companies you do. I think it's pretty cool. Hey, Mike, if you're interested, like I said, I need 2 more to get my side done, and I'm feeling really lame. Just hit me up on IG and let's trade emails, and I'll put you down as an officially checked off person. And I just need 1 more, and we'll be good to go. All right, you're past midnight. I'm going to end it now so that I don't keep you up any longer. But before you go to bed, grab your phone, hit me up on IG, and let's make this thing happen. Okay. Awesome. Take care, everyone. I will see you somewhere on YouTube tomorrow, I'm sure.